Building an alliance.
Will you join us?
It's showtime.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are tonight's entertainment.
You're not here, you missing out, because this show...
Ladies and gentlemen.
All right, listen up. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for.
It's time for the Alliance Guys podcast.
Well, the timer almost worked. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Alliance Guys podcast, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. My name is J-Cal. His name is DKM. And tonight, we are your provided entertainment. Apologies in advance. DK, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. I keep telling myself I'm good. I'll believe it sooner or later.
I see Alex Misery's in the chat. And, of course, all the way from Bismarck, North Dakota, saying hi to our friend Alex Misery from Florida. What is up, Alex? How are you, sir? Please don't stalk and kill me. Hey, Luthez is in the chat.
I know a secret about Luthez.
Yeah. What's that secret?
He got himself blocked by the NWA.
Well, I won't. It's happened to some of the best of us. I've been blocked by a few people in the NWA here now and then. It's never fun. But that's the thing.
Do you know how much I had to pay to get you blocked by those people?
You had to pay?
No,
they probably would have done it for free.
I was going to say, no, not at all. They were happy to do it.
They're like, wait, we can get rid of J-Cal? Let's do it. Anyways, we are.
Well, it did take me about 30 minutes of on the phone time with Aldous, but I finally got him step by step through the process of blocking you.
You almost said Latimer, and Latimer is a good friend of the show. And
Latimer, Aldous, they're wrestlers, they're big guys, they're best of friends.
They're from the UK. That was the easy one. They both have English accents or something.
Sure. One of them has hair, I think.
I'm efforting to reach out to get Mr. Thom Latimer on the Alliance blog podcast. We'll see if that pans out. But of course, we've had some communication on the old X, and we're hoping that might bear some fruit in the future. And first of all, Alex Misery, good luck tomorrow in that casket match. We'll talk about that later. Alex Misery looked like an absolute stud in that matchup against Mondo and Slade, and we'll talk about that momentarily. Of course, we're going to break down the card for tomorrow night at the Center Stage in Atlanta. Of course, this episode of the Alliance Guys podcast is titled Greetings from Center Stage, because that's where Samhain Part 3 will be taking place tomorrow night. Tickets are still available, right, Lou? I mean, that's what I'm hearing. That got some good deals on tickets. I think it's going to, one of the things that this NWA in this new era, right, of the Lighting One, I don't even know if it's a Lighting One Era thing or if it's just in the last few years, walk-ups have been very good for the NWA, and that's great, especially because with the delay in getting the television show from production to actual, placed on the air, there is so much time, and they don't really advertise the upcoming live events during the TV tapings anymore, which I think is, it's kind of sad, because I feel like they're missing out on a lot of promotional opportunities. Roku was the great new hope for the NWA. Things weren't going, I can't say things weren't going well, but obviously they were looking for a change from being on the X app. They walked away from the CW app, and, being on Roku, you would imagine that this would be a prime opportunity to promote the live events. I mean, they did those events at the Riot Fest in Chicago. Very little to no hype on the Roku station for those events. They did the live events in New York just a few weeks ago. Again, little to no hype for those events. And then now, we're literally at Samhain Part 3, one of the bigger signature live events for the National Wrestling Alliance. And there's been no mention of the event on the Roku app. They're still talking about the 77th anniversary show, which is, to me, is brutal. And we've beaten this dog as much as we can beat it. But DK, tell me, I mean, how bad is it that they can't capitalize on this opportunity to advertise their live events?
Well, it's ridiculous that they can't, but I can't figure out is the why. I don't know if this is 100% Billy's doing, and that he's decided just to completely ignore everything that's not related to his show and the next event. And, we can't release any information. We can't advertise our cards right because, we can't talk about the title changes. Or is there something in the agreement? Because, they show a link to their merch section, but they don't have merchandise advertisements anymore or anything. It's just like, was that part of the deal with Roku? I don't know.
That would be such a bizarre thing to negotiate away, because I get that there are Roku.
Well, I don't know why Roku would care. That's why it's like, so what's Billy doing that it's like, I can't figure out why Billy would do it just on its own. On the other hand, I can't figure out why Roku would care to where they would insist on some of this stuff. So I'm just at a loss, as it often is when it comes to what the thinking is. And look, I'll give some props out to Bryon Idol, the thing that kind of got Mr. Thez in some hot water. Bryon Idol's talking about how basically you get the cheap seats, you can get 4 people in for under $100 and everything. And it's like, that wasn't a special they were putting on. They didn't lower the prices suddenly or anything like that. But it was obviously an attempt to push ticket sales. And that's fine. They should be pushing ticket sales.
Agreed.
I mean, if things are as low as they're saying, it's 100% right that they push ticket sales. And like I said, I don't think this was based on from when I was looking around at the tickets and everything. I don't think that this is any type of deal that's been put together. It's just a factual thing.
Yeah.
But it still leaves us in this. I just thought today, because I didn't watch Power until today. And so they talked about how they were going to start with how they would see us next week from New York as they started the 77. And I thought, if there was any type of creative genius in the NWA, they would have started 77 this week, and they would have put on a show that featured the world title, the world tag team title, and the world women's title.
Yeah.
So that for Tuesday evening through the show tomorrow, they could be advertising the correct title matches.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, so you are literally starting your last major card on TV the week after you're running your current major card. So there won't even really be a whole lot of buildup over the next 5 to 8 weeks, depending on how long they run the 77. And it's just like, they need to develop a brain.
Yeah. And the thing about it too is like, let's just look at it what it is, right? Like, even if they did that match, right? Even if they had that match this week, it's still, there's still a lot of gaps in all of this. And when you look at this week's card, this card definitely reeks of, well, that's a filler card. It was this card, none of these matches, with the exception of maybe Thom and the Dragon Nia, none of these needed to take place to present the stories that were heading into to New York or to Swann. Like, these were filler matches. Like, none of this stuff was really needed. Like, and I'm not saying it was a bad show. I liked this week's show. In fact, I had a lot of positive things to say about it, but it was a filler show. It had nothing to advance the storylines. I mean, we had more of the Smalls versus Murdoch's nonsense. Like, that was maybe the worst match on the card. That didn't play a single part in the role of 77, or did it lead to Swann? We had Kerry versus Dylan McQueen. Again, a pretty good match. Had no role in setting up 77 or Swann.
Is it just me or how the mighty have fallen with Kerry Morton? Yeah.
And Lou is out here, and I appreciate Lou. He says, look, himbos aren't known for their high IQs. Look, I only blame him for so much in terms of how to tell a story and how to produce TV. I don't think he's got a say in that. I think if we're talking about the himbos, which I know you're meaning Bryon Idol, I don't think he handles social media, because if you look at the social medias and then you look at what Bryon Idol posts, there's obviously not the same person doing both those accounts. But on top of that, I think he does promotion. And I don't mean like social media promotion. I mean, he goes out there and glad hands with the television networks. He goes out there and talks to the studios and tries to get airtime. I don't think he's doing much of anything when it comes to the NWA social medias. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's just me, but sorry, my computer's going crazy right now. Okay, we got it.
I think you're right. And I think the key is it's Billy. I mean, you can...
Yeah.
You can blame the late Josephus for things how they were before the pandemic, I suppose, if you wanted to. But the truth is, he was telling Billy, this is stupid and you can't do it like this, which got him fired.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, and it's kind of like some of the producers and agents in AEW matches. You know, as one of the former ones said, they go, you're handcuffed to what Tony wants. He goes, so you can't put together a match that you might put together. You have to put together the match that Tony wants put together. And everything it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you said 500 times. Ultimately, the buck stops with Billy. The good things that happen, we have to go, you know, good job, Billy. But the bad things that exist, you have to go, Billy, that's stupid.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I 100% agree with that. And I'm not trying to deviate from that.
I hope so, since you said it.
Yeah. But I think where we're missing out on is, or at least circling back to the conversation, Bryon Idol. Look, I had this conversation with somebody else the other day. I'm not a fan of Bryon Idol. Okay. I don't like him as a wrestler. I don't like him as a promo guy. Right. I don't appreciate him on the camera. I know there's people out there that do. They call him the needle mover. They think he's got the juice. I would be very comfortable, happy, content. I would celebrate if he was behind the scenes only. Because we look at the NWA as a live event vehicle, which, let's be honest, they have been doing a lot more live events in the last few years. They're doing less premium or signature live events. They're doing less TV tapings, but they're doing more live events. This year alone, they did the Sacramento Grilled Cheese Truck. They did the festival. They did the Riot Fest, which was a concert in Chicago. They did the 2 events in New York with CEP. And those relationships are happening because of Bryon Idol. And, you know, on top of that, Dothan, Alabama, as a venue for the NWA came in part because of Bryon Idol. Adding NWA New Mexico to the fold is because of Bryon Idol. And as much as I hate to say it, Bryon Idol is also one of the few guys that is actually touring all of the territories. So, like, I do got to give him his flowers a little bit, right? The NWA going to Dothan, I think, was a godsend for them. They looked like a legit wrestling promotion in Dothan. And I'm not trying to say that they're not a legitimate promotion, but when they were in Dothan the very first time, I stopped and was shocked. I think it was for Hard Times. I was shocked how many people showed up to that event. And I'm like, that's the recipe right there. That's the formula. You got to find towns like Dothan, Alabama, who historically loved pro wrestling and haven't had enough of it in their, you know, AEW. I don't think AEW is going to Dothan right now. Dothan is the only good thing you named. Okay, that's fair. Dothan, let me throw that on the screen. Give credit, Sean Mega. Dothan, you know, that wasn't an NWA stomping ground before. The NWA going to Philly, like who gets credit for that? Who gets credit for the, you know, and I hear you guys, like, I get it, right? Like, oh, the Grilled Cheese Festival in Dumpster City. Oh boy. I mean, these are what's going to help the NWA grow, right? Because there's only so much money to be made recording television. Again, they're on Roku, guys. They're not on CBS or Fox or NBC. They're not on one of the big cable channels. They're not on a premium streaming service. They're on Roku. Where can they gain more traction? Doing live events. You know, especially in this economy, right? When you look at what, you know, the WWE is kind of, they are phasing the families out of the sports entertainment live events, right? Not only are they having less live events, but they're pricing themselves out where a family of 4 can't really afford to go to a WWE event. You know, AEW doesn't run all over the place. If the NWA were able to figure out how to get a footing into some of these markets that, you know, the WWE used to tour at, they might have something. But again, like, it's not going to be built on the back of Roku. It's going to be built on the back of shaking hands and doing live appearances and drawing crowds. So, you know, and again, we're talking about drawing crowds, and, you know, a lot of this has all come from, you know, the inability to have a big draw for Samhain Part 3. Now, we don't know what the official ticket sales are going to be, but right now they don't look great. What is it? What's the site called? DK, I think you know what it is.
WrestleTix?
Yeah, WrestleTix. WrestleTix isn't reporting great numbers right now. I think it was like the last report I saw was from a week ago, and there was less than 300 tickets sold for a 700. Huh?
I can tell you the last thing we got from James H. Jackson,
Friend of the show, James H. Jackson,
was 242 tickets distributed. So that's not sold, that's distributed.
Yeah.
Current setup 772, available tickets 530. So even with a strong walk-up, it's doubtful they'll sell out.
Yeah. And it might not, and it might. And if they pad the venue with tickets, you know, if they paper the audience, I mean, that's not, to me, I think that's a bad idea too. And maybe center stage wasn't the place for them. I mean, there's a lot of things to question, but we can't really question any of it until we see what it looks like, and until, we could speculate, we could talk about what is going to happen or what will happen, but until we have that concrete number of how many people were actually there and we could see it on TV, you know, it's just speculation. And
let's remember, during its heyday, the independent ROH would go run at that place, and they'd draw 350 people on a good day.
Yeah.
And again, that's total people in the building, or not total people in the building, that's total people in the seats. That's not necessarily tickets sold.
Right.
And again, for some people who may just be joining us and they're going, well, what's the difference between a ticket sold and a ticket distributed? If I'm running a show and I tell all my workers, I go, you can bring one person in, and I'll comp one person for you. You know, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your mother who loves wrestling, whatever.
Right.
You know, the guy who you got to ride from, whatever it takes. You know, I'll give you one ticket for that. And there's 10 people on the show. Well, that's 10 tickets distributed, but they ain't 10 tickets paid for.
Right.
I might go to the local pizza joint and I might say, here's 20 tickets. See if you can get them sold, and I'll cut you a share or whatever.
Sure.
I can count those as 20 tickets distributed.
Right.
Without necessary, but I may not get any money for them.
Sure.
Or,
well, and that,
or give them away with anybody that buys a large pizza. You know?
Right.
Whatever.
And the thing about that too is, you know, as a business owner, I can speak to this with some great clarity. Just because I didn't sell a ticket didn't mean I didn't make anything off of giving away a free ticket.
Right.
There's bartering, there's promotional consideration paid for by the following. And when you do those tickets, when you give those tickets out, that gets penciled in the, you know, the wins and loss column. That gets put over as promotional material. And that ends up not costing you as much money when it comes to filing your taxes, because that's part of the cost of doing business.
Well, a good example, if we'll go back to the tickets in the pizza place, is I might say, hey, I need, you know, I want 10 large pizzas to feed my crowd, you know, or not to feed my crowd, but like to feed my boys backstage. So
yeah,
so they don't have to pay for the concession stand. So, you know, give me 10 large cheese, or, you know, 5 large cheese pizzas and 5 large pepperoni pizzas. and stuff like that. In exchange, I'll give you 20 tickets. Now you can sell the tickets. You can put them in a large pizza box. I don't care what you do with them.
Yeah.
You can use them to light a cigarette, but again, did I get any money? No. Did I get a benefit? Yes. Is the ticket sold? No. Is the ticket distributed? Yes.
Yes.
And that's kind of where a lot of that work, a lot of that working out is at. And so, but you were talking about something earlier I want to jump on before we welcome Jaden. But, you were talking about how WWE, TKO is pricing the family out of WWE events because they want the most they can get. And I think that's what Idol was trying to do. I think Idol was trying to say, hey, family of four can come watch entertaining wrestling. Well, you can argue whether it's entertaining or not.
Yeah.
That's a personal opinion. But, a family of four can come watch entertaining wrestling for under $100. It's going to cost you $300 to get and be relatively close. And, it's going to cost you $300 for one ticket to a WWE event up in the nosebleed section. And Jade knows all about the nosebleed section.
I don't get a lot of nosebleeds. In fact, unless I get my nose broken, it's the only time it bleeds.
Well, how many times have you had your nose broken?
More than I'd want to admit. Less than concussion, so.
So, like I said, he knows all about the nosebleed.
When I wrestled in high school, it seemed like every single match that I had, either I'd get a bloody nose or a busted open lip every time. Like almost every match. I think it was more rare that I wouldn't be bleeding after a match.
Jay has a crimson mask.
Yeah, well, it was never that bad.
If you ever watch amateur wrestling, by the end of the tournament, there are a lot of guys with bandages, bruises, cuts, scrapes. It's a rough life.
I actually put a tooth right through my lip.
Life.
It's a hard knock life. I put my tooth right through my lip in one of my amateur wrestling matches. Went right through it. And I won. And they wanted to stop it because I was bleeding. And I'm like, you'd stop this, and I will be a lot more than my tooth going through somebody's lip right now.
Thank you so much, Stephanie, for the goats. Appreciate you. Hey, real quick. What? Oh, I was like, what did you just say? As I'm looking at, some of the comments, and again, look, I understand why right now our pal Luthez is kind of pissed off, and I would be too. Like, look, we unabashedly have supported the NWA in the good and in the bad. All of us, everyone in the chat right here has all been on social medias for years talking about how good the NWA is, and it does kind of feel like an act of betrayal because we're here supporting this brand, and sometimes to a detriment of our own sanity. Like, we've sat through some pretty shitty stuff, and I think it sucks that the NWA would, even if it was tongue-in-cheek, obviously the NWA is struggling to sell out this venue. Obviously that insulted somebody or rubbed somebody the wrong way when Luthez pointed it out. And, I think that's shitty. Like, they need to have thicker skin. The socials, for the NWA should be celebrating the voices that are cheering them on, and also being prepared to hear it when people are negative. But much like Nick Aldis, they also have their own agenda too. And if they don't want to hear those voices, they'll silence them. And that's not just the NWA. That's any business that's on social media. But when you start churning off your audience, that's probably not a good sign. You should probably listen to what they're saying. And even if it's just hey, thanks for your response. Thanks for taking an opportunity to say something. Anything would have been better than just blocking that. So I stand in solidarity with Lou. I think it sucks. But again, this is kind of that's what social media is sometimes. Now, getting back to the NWA, I really feel like they did a hell of a job of stacking this card, but maybe not a hell of a job of getting some excitement about this card. I don't live in Atlanta, and I don't know if anyone in our chat is from Atlanta, But has anybody seen promotional material for the NWA in around the, greater metropolitan area of Atlanta, Georgia? Are they flyering? Are they on television? Are they running commercials during Raw, or I guess not Raw, but SmackDown, or during AEW? I mean, look, AEW's running ICE ads. I'm sure they wouldn't mind taking the NWA's money in Atlanta. Get some promotional material out there. There's so many good names on this card that if it does end up being like Lou said, where was it? 14 booked matches in a half empty building would be a long night. If that is an empty building come Friday night, when you have booked all those talents, there should be a reckoning within the front office, and someone should be like, hey, this wasn't a good business decision. We picked a venue that was historically connected to pro wrestling, whether it be the old Jim Crockett promotions, the WCW, MLW, ROH, hell, even the United Wrestling Network ran there. So for them to not get a good number is going to be very detrimental. And look, I wouldn't be surprised, because I was there for the United Wrestling Network's event, the Championship Wrestling from Atlanta, the short-lived project from Dave Marquez. That room was filled with talents from the Cody Rhodes Nightmare Factory, which I believe is in Atlanta or close to it. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a full building that night. But if they aren't able to sell tickets, if they end up giving away tickets.
Can I speak on a devil's advocate?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Please do.
As somebody who's been in the wrestling business, there are sometimes you can do absolutely everything right and do everything you need to do, and it doesn't draw. And in any other situation, I know there's been times where Dog's done exactly the same thing and drew, and then all of a sudden didn't draw. Did nothing different than they always do. There's so many outside variables. It could be there's something else they didn't account for in the town. It could be that there was it could be that there's something other outside factor. It could just be it's just somebody. A lot of people have something to do that day. It could be that the crowd could be very Spanish and they're afraid to leave their house. I don't know. There could be a lot of reasons why this doesn't happen. They could absolutely have flyers and posters and ads everywhere, and it just doesn't work. Sometimes that happens. That happens to the big time too.
It does, and I think that's why we're trying to look at a trend here. And so basically the last show they had that sold really well prior, or last Signature Live event, they had that sold really, really well prior to the night of the show was Crockett Cup in Philly. They weren't selling well for New York, and now they're not selling well for Atlanta. And so then the question becomes, why? Now, actually, my personal belief is they're picking the wrong places to run.
But are they? Because if they have any kind of data, there might be a lot of people watching in Atlanta. That doesn't necessarily translate to people buying tickets, though, but there could be. And didn't they run somewhere close to there not that long ago for the couple TV tapings initially? At least somewhere in Georgia?
Not lately. The last time that they were in Georgia regularly for TV was, pre-pandemic stuff.
It was post-pandemic. They ran the one show and then found out their Signature Live event, and then found out they could only have 50 people in because Atlanta was still under restriction, and they never went back. So they've been to Alabama and other places. But I think Atlanta's a big enough city. Long Island's close enough to a big enough city that I tend to think there's too much competition. And I don't know how many indie wrestling shows there are in Atlanta. I don't know what runs out there. So I don't know how much competition they have just against that.
Yeah.
But, I would probably, and we've talked about this before, I would probably try to pick, and you're hinting at this earlier in the conversation, Jay.
Yeah.
More places like Dothan, Alabama, places that probably don't get a lot. There's not a lot of indie stuff out there necessarily, and where you can probably still get by on the NWA name long enough. But look, they're gonna hurt a lot when they can't properly advertise their show.
Yeah, I mean, look, and we just kind of everything that we just mentioned. It's Jaden said it perfectly. Like, they could be doing everything right. None of us are in Atlanta. I can't speak to the promotional material that's out there right now, right? They could do everything right and still have shitty results. And there's like a scene from The Office where Dwight is taking Ryan on a sales call and Ryan just botches it. And Ryan goes, well, what did I do wrong? And Dwight goes, not everything is a lesson. Sometimes things just don't work out. And that's just life. And that, I'm not saying that that's where the NWA should be right now, but if they are at a point where, if they ran this out and they did do the advertising the correct way, and they still didn't draw, I mean, obviously that tells you like this isn't working out. And to what DK said and what I was saying earlier, there's plenty of towns out there that are not getting good wrestling. I don't care about indie wrestling. Like, indie wrestling is indie wrestling, and I feel like that's a different beast and a different animal. But if you come in with a presentation, a professional setup, and you have those 3 historic letters, and you have a guy like Thom Latimer or Silas Mason, you have a gal like Kenzie Page or Natalia Markova, or you have guys like Team Murdoch's or the Immortals on a poster with those titles, I mean, that should get people's attention. And when you throw in on top of that teams like, I was going to call them the Bullet Club, the Good Brothers, Carl the Machine Gun Anderson and Doc Gallows, who have been in AEW, been in TNA, been in WWE, been in New Japan. I mean, their resume speaks for themselves. They're multiple IWGP Tag Team Champions, WWE Tag Team Champions, TNA Tag Champions. Like, these are guys that should be able to be put on a poster and people say, I'm going to go to that event. I think the 3 of us collectively said, hey, if this was in a neighborhood closer to us, we would go just on Trevor versus Hammerstone. And the fact of the matter is, there's a lot of matches on this card that are not just good, but like the entire card looks pretty solid. There's maybe only 2 matches on the whole thing that I'm not excited about. And I like most of the people that are on the card. So it's one of these deals where I can't tell you why it's not working, except for location. And if they are not getting the numbers, if they don't sell the tickets that they want, then don't go back to Atlanta. Don't go back to the places that you're not drawing. Try new places. They have a territory in New Mexico. They have multiple promotions in Tennessee. They have a promotion in Ohio. Why aren't they running into those places that maybe are less served with like good quality pro wrestling? If you're in Nashville, let's just say Nashville. Let's do a pay-per-view in Nashville. Get a good building, not a TV studio, but a smaller arena. And you're in Nashville, you have Joe Kazana Promotions promoting this upcoming event. You have, Crossfire Wrestling promoting this event. You're buying advertising time for, during AEW or during WWE SmackDown or during NXT on CW. Like, that's how you're going to get people to go to the show. One of the things that Dave Marquez used to do, and I can't say he does everything right, but one of the things I thought he did really, really smart was when they would go to a town where they were going to do their arena show, he would do paid TV. He would buy television time, like an infomercial, and he would put the Championship Wrestling from Hollywood on in that market to familiarize the audience with who the talent was, to give them an idea of the show, of what the whole thing is, and people would know about it. And then the whole time you're advertising that live event. Remember, that's what TV initially was for, was to encourage people to go to the live event. And with the NWA, it's kind of on the fence whether it is a TV broadcasting wrestling company or if it's a live event wrestling company. I still don't think Billy knows for sure what he wants to be. And I feel like that's part of the problem too. Because if you were just a TV show, just stick to Tampa. Run your events in Tampa. You could do 6 shows a year and you could film enough TV to last all year and be done with it. But I don't think they even know what they want to be yet.
Well, and here's one of the problems I have, and I really want Jaden's opinion on this one, is that, and this is where I'll talk about, the issues about being so far behind, stuff like that. Now, in the past, we've seen where they've had people on like local news shows and, maybe at 5 a.m. or whatever, but, they've been out there, they've done stuff. It gives them something to put on their YouTube or whatever. And, who's somebody in the NWA they have that can talk people in?
Besides
their world champion.
Well, Silas.
Yeah.
So now imagine if you get Silas, if you get him doing promos, if you get him on a show, that man can talk. He knows how to talk the right way. He knows how to get over. He knows how to put butts in seats through talking. So you put your world heavyweight champion out there holding the 10 pounds of gold in his hands, talking to the 5 a.m. newscaster or weatherman or whoever.
Right.
And you plaster that all over your social medias. You got something there. But they can't do that. They can't do that because Silas isn't world champion yet.
Yep.
So,
yeah,
who shot themselves in the foot? Wasn't me. So, Jaden,
Yes.
tell me your thoughts on how they screw themselves and things like that.
I don't necessarily. Again, I don't know if they did. Well, the whole being 3 months behind is stupid. That's something but they could at least still put it out there. Just because Silas is out there on local TV promoting as the world champion doesn't mean it's going to interfere with their stuff on Roku anyway. Because honestly, anybody watching the program probably already knows. At least I'd say 75% of the people who are watching it already know, and they're watching it anyway. So even with these god awful horrible segments that we'll talk about later. But again, I don't know what they're doing, but there's a lot out there they could be if they're not already. Are they promoting? I know this sounds stupid. Are they finding the local? What's that website that you go to where they used to sell sex workers and stuff?
Craigslist.
Craigslist, yeah.
And
Dog get pro wrestling promotes on Craigslist. And you know what? They get like 5 or 6 people to buy tickets because they see it on Craigslist. They could be out there on that one wrestling website that guy promoted on that one time, and they drew huge in Philly. That's an inside joke between me and Dave. I mean, me and Dave. Me and Jay.
Wait, what?
The one guy with the wrestling website, the wrestling message board or whatever that he promoted it on. Like, remember when we were in Philly? The first time we were in Philly?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
But anyway, they could be doing the local news. There is local radio stations. I'd be calling I'd be seeing if the college radio stations would help you out. I'd be messaging the Christian radio stations. Whatever you can get for publicity, free or whatever wise, you should be out there doing it right now and trying to do something. And who knows, they might have a huge walk-up. Atlanta might be a walk-up town. Believe it or not, that's how the Atlanta Thrashers, when they had a hockey team, it was bad management. That's why they don't have a hockey team, but they actually drew in. A lot of it was people buying tickets the day of.
I would literally be flyering Atlanta Technical College, Spelman College, Clark Atlanta University, and South College Atlanta. Like, I would be in those universities. I would have my street team. And I don't think the NWA has a street team, but I would get together a street team because, again, tickets sold is money made. With whatever they earn on Roku, like, that's probably a number, right? Like, I don't think it's going to change week in and week out. But what they can sell at a live event, be it the tickets, the merchandising, all of that stuff, like, I don't think they get concessions. I think the building handles that. But everything that they can do, Chris Henry brings up a good point. I don't think the Christian stations are going to promote a show called Saw Win. That's
that fair. Might be true on that one, but
But
maybe they find pagan stations.
Like, I mean, look, there's a lot of things you could do, and I'm like, now the wheel is spinning, and I can say a lot of things that are not appropriate for the platform that we're on. So I will not do that. But
Is that a hint for me not to say it?
no, I don't think anyone should say it. But there's a lot of things they could be doing. I mean, look, their social media is trying. I will say that. Like, if you go to their Instagram account, if you're going to X, you're going to Facebook, they're doing more and more to promote what's happening. They're hardly doing anything on TikTok. That's a shame to me. And I know that Joe Galley's on TikTok. I've seen some, but very little promotion for this event. And again, social media is only like one aspect of it. That should be like a quarter, maybe even like an eighth of what they're doing. But again, we're all quarterbacking this from over here, and it's not my time and it's not my money. So, it's very easy for me to say this. Again, multiple guys in the NWA are spinning the same, multiple plates. They don't have a team of people doing things. They have one or two people doing three or four things. So
that's the problem right there.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, look, NWA, look right here. Pay me. I'll do it. Sorry.
I mean, I'm sure Billy Corgan's cheap like Dr. Zirconium, and he only pays me to do everything. But still, you should have a team at that level of organization. You should have a dedicated team whose job is to get all kinds of stuff for the social media pages. Then you should have a different team whose job is to get all kinds of stuff for local promotion. Is there a wrestling school around there?
Yeah.
Get a couple wrestling schools. I mean, I know there is, because I know a couple people that are in them, and that's why I know that there is a lot of wrestling in and around Atlanta. But if there's wrestling schools around there, get a couple of the big stars of each wrestling school and have them sell tickets to their friends that they're going to be on the pre-show.
Yeah,
I hate that stuff, but that's something.
I mean, the Nightmare Factory is in Norcross, Georgia. Look, what's his name?
QT?
Yeah, QT Marshall. I mean, they're literally running a promotion in Atlanta right now. That's One Fall Wrestling. I mean, they should have been co-promoting with that as well. There's so many things that they could have done, right? There's so many things that, this would have made sense. This would have been a smart business decision. And I don't know that they have really done any of that. And again, this is where, wrestling IQ, if someone handed me $1 million and said, Jay, go promote wrestling, like, I would do the things that I know how to do, right? But I don't know the things that Jaden knows, because he's been doing this a lot longer than I have. I don't know I wouldn't do the things that DCam does, because again, he's been in the business longer than I have. And when you talk about, like, what do I know? I mean, like, I would hit the colleges, right? Because there's, college kids want to do something on a Friday night. That's what I would do.
They usually are doing something on a Friday night that doesn't involve pro wrestling, but still.
Sure. And that, yeah. But I mean, like, look, all right, full transparency here. On a Friday night when I was in high school or in college, I wasn't out there partying. I was one of those kids that didn't do the cool stuff. And if someone would have told me, hey, there's a wrestling show with guys that used to be in the WWE and guys that used to be in New Japan Pro Wrestling and guys that used to be on TNA Wrestling and all these big names, and it's literally just down the street from where I live, or, a couple miles away, or maybe even an hour away, and I could get in the door for $25, bro, I'm there. I would have, as a 21-year-old kid, I would have been at this show if it had been in my neighborhood. As a 46-year-old man, if this show was in my neighborhood, I would have loved to have gone. But of course, I'm not flying to Georgia for this. I spent a lot of money traveling this year. And
here's a couple.
What's that?
I wait, you finish. I'm sorry.
Oh, and the last thing is, I'm not Kevin Owens. For anyone asking, not Kevin Owens.
You got to get Kevin Owens money to start getting you traveling more. Another thing that I would suggest, and if the guys are listening or somebody share this with them, when they get into a venue like this or a thing, find the local high schools and
Yes.
colleges, and the week before, have an announcement. Have a couple wrestlers show up at the local high school football games. I know Atlanta does, in the down south especially. They love their football, so have them show up at the local football games. Do a little meet and greet, sign some autographs, have the announcement there mentioning the event coming up in next week.
Do you see the shirt that I'm lifting up now? It's covering my face. The
Yes.
pro wrestling, the West Side Pro Wrestling Club was from a high school near Atlanta, and I have that shirt because in the early days of Power, the first episode of Power, I was at those tapings, and I made a friend while I was there who had a replica of this exact TV title, and he was talking about how he wanted to he had a pro wrestling club for his kids, and he was trying to get NWA talent involved. And at Power, you know, I'm not a mover and a shaker, but I knew a few people, and I said, "Hey, Kyle, come here." Kyle Davis walked over, and he just barely knew who I was. I said, "Kyle, this guy has a pro wrestling club at his high school. He was a teacher, you know, and this is his club for the students, and he's trying to get NWA people involved." And they would go on to have Nick Aldis do a teleconference. They had what's her name? Thunder Rosa was there. They would bring in all these people from the NWA to do, like, they would speak. You know, it was online. It was like through the PC, but they would have the NWA talent there, and in return, they would invite these kids to come to the wrestling show and give them discounted tickets at the studio. I could guarantee you nobody's contacted that pro wrestling club about this event, and
No.
it's a shame, right? It's a shame, but you know, again,
how many high schools are in and around Atlanta? How many, you know, and then you sit there on Friday nights or Thursday nights or Saturday nights or whatever, Saturday mornings, wherever they have Saturday, Sunday, whatever, whenever they have their games, and you sit there and you say, "And ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce NWA television champion Bryon Idol. He'll have a real quick word. And here's the NWA World Women's Champion Natalia Markova, and her ass is not hanging out."
46 public high schools in Atlanta as of 2025.
And then you sit there at different ones, send different people to these football games and promote. Next thing you know, there's families going to that. It's not just kids going to those football games. It's the family of those kids and people who are alumni and something like that. And then have them give out 2 free tickets as part of that deal. So, you know, if there's 49 colleges, that's 100. That's almost 100 people, right? I mean, high schools, that's almost 100 people right there. And yeah, that's giving it away. But you know what? I don't know how many places that building holds, but that's probably more than they've sold so far.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, we might have found the answer to their ticket problems.
What's that?
What's Friday night?
Football night?
Football night.
High school football night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I don't, cities, big cities, which Atlanta qualifies for, especially inner city sections, high school football is a religion. You know, in Texas, high school, college, pee-wee, pro football is a religion, all of it. But in a lot of cities, especially the inner cities, you know, high school football, that's a religion for people.
Yeah, every single kind of football in Texas is a religion except for the one you actually use your feet to kick.
Which is a common plot. The people don't know where that came from. Watch more TV.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, you know, that's, you know, we're talking about what Jaden was saying earlier. You know, we may not know why they may be doing everything right. Yeah, they may. I always remember Ken Taylor talking about a big show that he did in Dallas. Well, guess what happened to him?
He did nothing.
All the stars made the playoffs. Their first home game in the playoff was on the same night that he was holding a show. Well, it wasn't scheduled when he did it. It wasn't even necessarily a possibility when he first set it up. But, you know, he said, he goes, lost my ass on that one.
I know Dog did an event scheduled for months in advance and ended up going against the Phillies playoff game. It did okay, but only because they played the Phillies playoff game on the TVs at that venue.
Yeah. And so look, I mean, I think we've expressed enough. Like the NWA, if they're not doing some of the things that we talked about, and look, maybe they are, right? None of us know because we're not in Atlanta. I can give them the benefit of the doubt, but I can almost promise you they're not doing these things, because if they were, they probably would have more than 267 tickets sold. And
again, that's not a necessity. That's not always true. You can do everything you need to do and still not draw. It is plausible. Again, I've known it to happen to wrestling companies who, in the same venue that they've done before and drawn well before, all of a sudden didn't draw.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. And that's fair. None of us really know, and none of us will actually know, even after the show is released and we see it on Roku. We'll never know like what happened, what they did do or what they didn't do. And it's not like anyone's going to come from the NWA and be like, well, this is what we did, so it's kind of a moot point. But we'll leave it on this. As far as the promotion goes, you have a weekly TV show, and I don't care if these matches are from a year ago. They should have commercials on the broadcast pointing at the viewing audience to, Saw win. They shouldn't even be calling, like, that's the thing too. Like this whole signature live events, it's such a backward philosophy. If you just did TV tapings in Tampa and just left it at that, and you did these big live events, we're kind of spoiled by the NWA because we expect them to have payoff for all these live events, right? We expect payoffs for the TV show. But when the NWA was in its infancy, like, they didn't have, not every promotion had TV, not every promotion did pay-per-views, and Billy, again, I go back to like, what do they want to be? They could just be doing these live events, and there could be no TV, and it's either you're there or you're not there. So I don't know. I guess maybe we're a little spoiled, but at the same time, I feel like they're leaving money on the table by not taking advantage of the opportunities that are in front of them. With that being said, would you guys like to talk about Power for a little bit before we preview this excellent card that's coming to Atlanta, Georgia at Center Stage?
Yeah, let's see if we get it over with in less than a half an hour.
I think we can do it in like 20 minutes. You guys ready?
Okay.
15.
I'll do the best
7.
I can.
I'll call this event in 7 minutes.
All right. So the show started really quick, got right into wrestling. That's the way it should. Every week, this is how I want it to be. We get Slade and Mondo versus Lev and Alex Misery of the Lost. Now, here's where I have a problem right off the bat. The booking of this match is 100% proof that Billy Corgan doesn't know what he wants to do until day of. His plans aren't concrete. We spent the last 4 weeks, maybe 5 weeks of these Tampa TV tapings where Mondo is going into not liquor store, into video game stores, hassling the store manager about whatever, looking for a gym, whatever. And they never explain two things. One, why is he challenging for the national title at the 77th anniversary show, but he's teaming with Slade here following the Crockett Cup? Like, are we going to use him as a tag team, or is he going to be an individual wrestler? And number two, they never explained how, when, why Aaron Stevens became their manager. And it's like, you're giving us this bullshit, convoluted, stupid ass storyline of him yelling at some little kid store manager, when this has been the perfect time. You could have had Aaron Stevens whispering in his ear, hey, I'm putting together a stable. Like, we're not just blunt force trauma. We're going to take over the NWA. And we could have seen some recruitment videos to make this make sense. But we didn't get that. So there's no rational reason why we have Stevens as their manager. Like, there's no explanation to that. And then there's no explanation as to why we know at 77 Mondo is challenging for the national title. They don't build that up at all. So we're just kind of left scratching our head saying, well, we're not even using the best promotional time for our TV to lead up to the next event. It's so disconnected. There's no connective tissues, and there's no storyline here. So that was my first, like, as soon as I saw that, I was kind of pissed off, because I'm like, Mondo is supposed to be wrestling for the national title. Mondo's the national champion, for crying out loud. He's going into Swann to defend the national championship, but we got him teaming with Slade. Shouldn't he have had a tune-up match? Shouldn't he have had a one-on-one match to qualify for that national title match? Or we're just giving people title matches now? No explanation. Oh, yeah, that's what we're doing. So the match itself was pretty good. Like, I don't want to – my qualms about how we get there are valid, but the match itself was good. I liked seeing Mondo and Slade as a tag team. I'd actually prefer them to remain a tag team. I think that would have been a better option as far as Jay is concerned. And they took on the team of Lev and Misery, and Misery bumped like a champion for these guys. Like he sold so good for Slade and Mondo. He made them look even better than they did at Crockett Cup. Made me believe that they would be better suited as a tag team. And even when Lev came in with the hot tag, which again, we're putting two heel tag teams against one another, and now you're making the audience choose who to root for. And quite literally, the lesser of two evils. You've got the Sinister Minister, who everybody hates, and you got Aaron Stevens, who everyone should hate. And then you've got these two tag teams who are heels that we should all hate. But now we're cheering for Lev for the hot tag. And just, what are we doing? What story are we trying to tell here? And even freaking Billy Corgan says, "What happened to Rolando?" I don't know, man. You forgot to book him. I don't know. That would have been another better use of your backstage time, having Rolando sell the contract of Slade to Aaron Stevens. Like, hey, man, you let me take Slade off your hands, and you could go manage Blunt Force Trauma. That'd be better. I think a better fit, anyways. All that being said, the match itself was pretty good. It made Mondo and Slade look like a legitimate tag team after they're coming off of the Crockett Cup. I would like to see more of them as a tag team. Jaden, did you watch this match? And what were your thoughts if you did?
I watched all the matches, including ones I'm very sad that I watched. But yes, I can't stand Billy on commentary, but he was probably the worst out of all the time there. I was a person in this match. He also mentioned about the slime balls and how like Carson Drake is no longer with the slime balls in here, I think.
Yeah.
And okay, fine. So at least Billy's there to talk about his stuff that he's in his head that he forgot to tell everybody else about. You know, he didn't write it down or write a storyline on it or anything like that. He's like, oh yeah, by the way, I forgot I wanted to do this, so I'm going to mention it right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good match. I said it at the Crockett Cup. I wanted to see Slade and Mondo as a tag team, and maybe this is like, you help me out, so I'm going to get you a shot, and then I'm going to get you something later, Slade.
Yeah,
maybe that's what they'll say or happened or whatever. But I'm glad they're pushing Mondo. But speaking of Mondo, Mondo's promoting this event in Atlanta like crazy on his TikTok.
Yeah,
I don't know if anybody else is, but Mondo definitely is. And I hope both get some kind of title pushes because I like seeing gold on both of those individuals. Doesn't have to be tag team; it could be singles.
Yeah. And then DK, what did you think about the match?
The match I thought was really good. I enjoyed it for a tag team match. I wish that neither Minister nor Stevens was there. Billy was terrible. And why would you even bring up Rolando? And what the hell happened to Burchill? And damn Mondo Short. And kind of reminded me of a blimp, a lot of gas. And that's about it. Good match, good tag team. Jay said probably the best Lev's work looked, so I would agree with that. Slade looked awesome. Mondo looked good. So I'm all for putting gold on them. Next.
I do like what Sean Mega said. Why have the lost lose if they're the regular team of the two? Yeah, and again, if Billy had some concrete booking ideas and followed through with it, then this stuff would make sense. But I think day of he changes his mind. He just does whatever he feels like. So, all right. So that was that. Next up,
real quick. Where is Crazy Steve? I think the match would have been even better with Crazy Steve and Alex Misery. Nothing against
Lev.
Lev, yeah, that guy.
No, I don't.
The blue weenie, as I was calling him while I was watching the match.
I don't know. I guess he just wasn't booked for this event. I think again, Crazy Steve would have been an improvement, and maybe Crazy Steve and Misery would have won this match. I just again don't understand the booking, and you're right. What did happen to Burchill? That's a great question. I don't know. I don't know. It again, if the NWA had some consistency with its booking, and again, if Billy actually had a episodic idea where he was telling these stories as a story, as opposed to just bursts of creativity, like whatever book he read or whatever TV show he saw, and he's trying to emulate this week, I feel like it'd be a better content. That brings us to the first almost unwatchable segment where you had little baby Kylie, and I do mean little baby Kylie because I think she's barely 20 years old, trying to seduce the estate lawyer to get put back on the list of people who might claim this inheritance. And this again, I would have much rather had this time for Stevens explaining how he became the manager of Slade and Mondo. And I just don't understand why we're still pitching this in, and that was the only part that we had of this week. And I could almost bet you that 77 isn't going to have any more story of it. I would be surprised if they never bring it up again. So anyways, that was that. Then we get, do you guys want to talk about that, or are you good?
Go.
The next up, we have a replay promo from the champ Thom Latimer talking about he's a fighter. We saw this same promo last week. The thing that I guess I missed the first time around was he literally says, what did he say? Silas, you lost in the first round for the Jack Stane Memorial Invitational Tournament. You're in the back of the line, and I think that was pretty good. He did go and beat Hammerstone, but it's not like Hammerstone is an NWA guy. Hammerstone is an outsider. So it wasn't like, in terms of wins and losses, he lost the Jack Dane Memorial Tournament. So maybe he should have taken a more of a backseat. It was kind of a more heel thing for Thom Latimer to say, who's been almost 100% babyface as world champion. So that was kind of interesting. You guys have anything you want to add to that?
Nope. DK?
Next up, we get Dylan McQueen versus Kerry Morton. I like this match too. Kerry Morton obviously has been working out. He looks stronger. His arms look bigger. As somebody who has been dedicating himself to the gym as of late, I know it's not an easy task. I'll say this. I know this. 6 packs aren't made in the gym. They're made in the kitchen. Kerry, your arms look great. You can, I don't know how you still look kind of flabby, and I don't understand. You're looking good everywhere else, but you've got that soft belly. I know you're not supposed to pick on people for their looks, but I feel like that guy, his body, I feel like holds him back from being talked about more. Maybe that's just me. And then I feel like Dylan McQueen is great. I think he's a great addition to the roster. I feel like he's a good person to be on regular NWA TV. And I kind of feel like he might be Billy Corgan's Effie. And I know that sounds crazy to say too, but somebody who is, on that side of the rainbow. And I feel like, the NWA benefits from having, representation. So I feel like if there is a wrestler who is queer, I think that's good for the brand. I think it helps people identify with the product. He works at Crossfire Wrestling, and he's done a lot of the NWA live events, and he looked really good in this match. He didn't look like just someone who came in to do the job. He didn't look like enhancement talent. During the Fenrir match later in the evening, we have a guy that looks like he's an enhancement wrestler. Dylan McQueen looks like a potential NWA superstar down the road. I would like to see more of him. I felt like the match was good. I would like to see Kerry tone up a little bit. DK, what did you think of the match?
I thought the match was okay for what it was. I've never been the biggest Kerry Morton fan.
Really?
I know it's shocking, isn't it?
I used to think he was going to be so much more than he was. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, but I'm almost shocked at what I see as kind of his fall from grace here. I don't know, because he and his daddy broke up or what the heck's going on. But in a way, it was almost sad to see somebody who at one time was almost built like the future of the thing kind of in this match. Dylan McQueen was fine. Didn't have anything for him or against him. The match was a good TV match. Could have been like a TV title match under the right circumstances. I agree. Kerry needs to firm up some. He's always needed to firm up.
Yeah.
He's always been one of my complaints against him. I don't know. Next.
Jane, do you have anything you want to add?
I didn't think the match was as good as you guys were. I don't know. I wasn't as impressed as it. It felt like it was in slow motion a little bit. It just didn't feel right to me.
Okay.
Also, I'd rather see McQueen's brothers, Lightning and Steve McQueen.
Fair. Okay.
But I was okay. Kerry, real quick. Yeah, I'm sure you're listening to this program because all the NWA listens to this program. Get yourself some berberine, help get that sugar out of your body. Get yourself some CLA, conjugated linoleic acid, help tighten that stomach up. Get yourself some L-carnitine, helps turn fat into fuel. And maybe a couple herbal supplements, like Performix or something like that for some weight loss. And you can tone up that stomach pretty quickly. It just takes some effort and a little bit of extra help. And I'm sure you can do it. And next thing you know, you can be bragging about your six-pack. And lay off the cookies.
I don't even know that you need a six-pack. You just need not to be flabby.
I agree with that. Okay. That takes us to they did the post-match package on Kerry Morton. That's later in the show. Sorry. Next, we get the package, the promo package on the Murdoch's assault on Smalls. Man, I don't really feel like we need to keep revisiting this. It was bad enough to watch the first time around, but now you're showing it to me again.
I didn't watch any of it.
Yeah, good.
Including the match.
Yeah, good. And then we see the same promo we saw last week again. If you're going to do stuff like this, at least splice it up. Give me something that's different. Give me some different sound bites. It's the same thing. It's the exact same promo from last week. So I didn't need to see this twice. I didn't need to see it the first time. Which leads to the match. And I literally put Trevor beats up Smalls. Lame. The one thing that they did that pissed me off, and they did it right in front of the referee, is that Smalls hit Trevor in the balls, which that should be a disqualification. I don't care that it's a little person wrestling against Trevor Murdoch. The rules should be the same for all the competitors in the ring, and a low blow is a low blow. That should have been the end of the match. Nope, they let it continue. And it was still just buffoonery and chicanery and a bunch of stuff I didn't want to watch. So, Jaden,
you know why was it DQ?
Why?
I know, because it wasn't technically a low blow because he had to go up.
Oh, shit.
It's semantics, but a good lawyer could probably fight that. Anyway, it was the drizzling shit. So I hated it, and I just wanted 3 kicks and an elbow, and I would have been happy. Or maybe King Kong Bundy dropping an elbow. I love that back in the day. But at this point, just no. Please, next.
The other question that I have is, how does this promote Murdoch's for the 77th anniversary show? I mean, that's what this whole set of Tampa TV tapings was, to promote the 77, and none of these matches connect to the 77. We didn't see a promo talking about the Immortals. We didn't see them, hey, you Immortals, you cheated, or you should not have won, or anything. There was no hatred at all for Kratos or Odinson. It was all directed at the little person. It just doesn't do it for me, dog. It's a bit pitchy for me, dog. It just doesn't work.
It wasn't even their original opponents they mentioned, because it was supposed to be EC3 and Aircraft Carrier Skull.
Yeah, yep. Kevin Keegan, that shady Northeastern referee. Yeah. And Sean Mega even brings up a good point. Like, look, if you put him in the junior heavyweight divisions with Smalls, it's somewhat believable. But putting him in the ring with a guy like Trevor Murdoch, who towers over 90% of the roster. Like, it's not cute. It's not fun. It's stupid, and it's a waste of my time. All right. Now we're at the Kerry Morton package in the back. He talked like they replayed how he beat Dylan McQueen again. I don't like that either because I just watched the damn match. You don't have to remind me what I saw 5 minutes ago. I don't have, my brain functions fairly normally. I don't need a reminder of what I saw 5 minutes ago. Nevertheless, they show that package to have him call out Hammerstone, and this is kind of like his flag planting moment, trying to get riled up. Hey, Taylor's got a match at, defending the junior heavyweight title, and Thrilly's going to challenge for the world title, and I'm going to make a statement by beating Hammerstone to the mat or whatever. And again, not a bad promo, but I don't know. Look, these are the kind of promos that I would prefer to see in the NWA. Do you guys have anything you want to add to that?
I'm glad it was a promo and not a segment about how he was finding jewelry in the tank of a lobster tank, and all of a sudden a genie comes out of the lobster's asshole or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's no worse than the next segment that we have, which is Tiffany Nieves along with Valentina Rossi and Ms. Star TVMA in the video game place again. And now they're talking to the therapist. And again, this is the kind of shit that I don't need. Tiffany Nieves can cut a decent promo. She's actually one of the better talents on the mic. She's got a catchphrase. She's interesting. She's not hard to look at. She's got great work ethic. She's got a great body. She looks good in the ring. Why are we wasting time with this kind of drizzling, trivial shit? I hope you're listening, NWA. Stop it. Give me Kyle Davis in the back with promos, man. Go get May Valentine back. I'd rather see that. Hell, I'd give anybody a microphone and do better. Sam Retro says those Tiffany skits are cringy. They're not just cringy. They're like terrible. They're like the worst thing I've ever seen. And I saw that movie Hollywood. What was it called? With Kim Basinger, the animated movie. You guys remember that? That doesn't matter. Sorry. Let's move on. We get Damian Fenrir, who we've seen in the NWA before, but they kind of act like this was his debut match. Billy even said that this is a guy that he signed. He wanted him. He brought him out because he liked him. I liked him too. He looks phenomenal. This guy kind of reminds me a little bit of Dante Casanova. These guys have a really, I guess the best thing I could say is they pass the poster test. If you put that guy on a WWE poster or an AEW poster or a TNA poster, it looks like he would fit. It looks like he'd belong there. He's got a great build, has a pretty good look, and his wrestling I felt was pretty solid. He was wrestling, and I don't remember the guy's name, and I'm sorry, guys. Please don't hold it against me. But basically, he was an enhancement talent, and there was a point where he drop kicked him, and the guy almost fell. Like the guy was on the top rope, and Fenrir drop kicked him, and he nearly went off the rope, which would have been horrible. Luckily, he landed fairly safe. I thought it was pretty cool, and I liked the match. Again, it was exactly what it needed to be. Fenrir coming out party. I will go to you, Jaden. What did you think of this match?
This is where I think they needed to pipe in some kind of sound because I didn't really hear anything on the crowd on this one.
No, there was little to no react, except for when he almost fell out of the ring. That they did react to that.
Fenrir looks like a wrestler. I liked him. The match itself, I really didn't care about because the guy didn't seem like somebody. He was less shaped than some of the guys the WWF used to use in the 1980s as enhancement talent. So. Yeah. But he was better built than Jake the Milkman Milliman.
D-Cam, what were your thoughts?
Which Mulkey brother was it? I forgot.
Say that again.
Which Mulkey brother was it? I forgot.
Bill Mulkey, the illegitimate brother.
Oh, okay.
Which is actually a gimmick somebody did, by the way.
That scares me in ways that I can't explain. The match was fine for what it was. Billy putting him over. It's like, okay, so now we see why you keep doing heels versus heels and have so few baby faces, because you want all your wrestlers to be heels.
Yeah.
And then you're surprised that you don't get bigger reactions. Sure, fine, whatever. This match meant so little to me that I was actually still angry over the idea of putting Smalls in junior heavyweight. No, Smalls is not junior heavyweight. Smalls is a
Little person.
micro, little offensive term, whatever.
Thank you for not using it, by the way. Appreciate that.
I did.
Well, I blocked it out, so it doesn't matter. But
Hey, if that midget comedian says he likes it, then it's fine. Then it's fine.
I agree. And but look, the shit like that is why people have a hard time taking junior heavyweights seriously. If you're going to say things like, "Oh, he needs to not be in the ring with anybody that's not."
Let's get past this, because we wanted to do this in 20 minutes, and we're already at 20. We still got one more match to go.
Just no.
That's fair. We are all in agreement here. Smalls might be a wonderful human being. Bring in some more micro wrestlers for him, and let's go with that. I'm cool with that. I think maybe he could be a star for the NWA if they had a micro division. But I don't want to see him wrestling Trevor Murdoch. Let's go. Then we get the main event, which was the Dragon Nihan, who is from Puerto Rico. Again, I hate the fact we're bringing in people with absolutely zero build and putting them in a world title match. Give me a squash. Put him on the first episode of this thing and have him squash somebody. At least make me feel like he's important. He's a big guy, but he also kind of looked a little dumpy too. He kind of reminded me of Roadblock from WCW. That was the enhancement wrestler. He was like the jobber to the stars. And basically, anyone who was going to wrestle Big Show and beat them, or I guess the Giant, anyone who was going to beat the Giant had to beat Roadblock first. And that's what this guy kind of reminded me of. He was big, but he wasn't great. And he was just kind of big. So, Thom Latimer gets the victory. Picked up the big guy. You could see it took everything in him to do it, because his legs were shaking and everything else. Got the victory, and that brought out the Southern Six, which just led to a whole schmoz, a whole cluster F at the end of the show. I'm glad that we got another victory for Thom Latimer, retaining the title, having another title match. But again, I don't feel like this did anything to elevate him as a champion. I don't think it did anything to elevate the match between him and Silas Mason. And, DKM, what did you think of this one?
Well, I sneezed, and I think I missed it.
You didn't miss much.
Yeah, it didn't go very long. Look, apparently Billy and his spiritual brother, Tony Khan, they like to bring in big guys to lose. I don't know why, but it seems to be one of their things. Wasn't much of a match. I didn't care. The ending was stupid. The afterbirth of the ending with everybody in the ring was stupid. Nothing brought any joy to me. The first couple of matches or few matches had some good wrestling. By the end, it was just why.
Yeah, I get that. Jaden, what did you think?
Nick's got a good drop kick.
Okay.
Or I'm sorry, not Nick.
Tom,
yeah, sorry. All these British people are the same to me. Tom's got a good drop kick.
All right. What else? Anything else you want to add to that?
He did 2 good drop kicks.
All right. So I guess that's a good time for us to transition into Saw Win Part 3 talk. This is of the 4 pay-per-view era shows that the NWA had. This was one of them. The Saw Win has kind of been maligned with, controversy in the past. A lot of people thought that Father James Mitchell literally ruined the NWA's chances of being on the CW through WWE negotiations because of this spot where they had the powder and all that stuff. The Bolivian marching powder, I believe, is what Jaden would call it. And, to be quite honest, it's probably my least favorite of the signature live events, but I feel like, have done everything they can to put a stacked card on this show. There's maybe 2 matches on the whole thing that I'm not particularly fond of. And so we're going to talk about the card right now. We're going to go through some of the matches that have been announced and some of the matches that we think are going to happen. And we'll give our results, who we think is going to win. Kerry Morton at the 77th anniversary show unsuccessfully challenges Hammerstone, basically gets humbled against the former MLW world champion. Kerry Morton comes to Saw win, looking for momentum, and he's going to step into the ring with the aforementioned Damien Fenrir, who I think is a hell of a talent. And, I want to get your opinion first, DK. Fenrir versus Morton. There's no title on the line. The U.S. tag titles aren't being defended. It's just a straight-up wrestling match. Who do you see going over on this one?
Well, here again, we have heel versus heel. I would put over Finney.
I think I would too.
Kerry will probably go over unless they're going to start some kind of storyline about Kerry not, being on a losing streak or not being up to snuff with the rest of the Southern Six or something like that.
Yeah. Jaden, what are your thoughts on this one?
Again, heel versus heel, but Kerry, I think for some reason, is going to be the babyface in this match. I don't know why. I just feel like that's the way it is. Maybe it's the Atlanta connection. And I think Kerry is going to go over in the match because he needs to win more than Fenrir does. While Fenrir is a talent, Kerry has some name value, at least because of his father's name. And right now with the Atlanta connection, the Morton name means more in Atlanta than a Norse god than a Norse wolf does.
All right. So I think we're in a. I'm actually going to say Damien Fenrir is going to walk away with the victory here because I think they know that Kerry Morton kind of right now can be built up very easily. Plus, he is essentially the U.S. Tag Champion, so it doesn't matter what his wins and losses are as a singles competitor. So I see Fenrir going over and perhaps maybe building Fenrir to that junior heavyweight division and possibly moving forward in that direction with him.
If it's the NWA, he has to lose, and then he gets a title shot. Come on now, Jay.
I guess you are correct on that one. But so I should have been doing a better job of taking notes here. But DK says Kerry?
No, DK says Fenrir.
Okay.
I don't guess I said who I thought would win.
But we need an answer, sir.
I guess Kerry will probably win. I want Finney to win.
Okay. Jaden says Kerry, DK says Kerry, and Jay says Fenrir. Just keeping notes so we can go back later and see who was right and who was wrong. We will have there will be representation in the house. There will be a member of our Alliance family there, and you guys will just have to wait to see him on TV, hopefully. Next up, we have the Holy Grail, which is the Overlord, EC3, and Pretty Boy Smooth taking on the Slime Balls. What a fall from grace from the Holy Grail. They were supposed to get a World Tag Team shot at 77, and now they're taking on the Slime Balls. Kind of disappointing if you are EC3 and Pretty Boy Smooth. I don't know what you benefit from beating the Slime Balls, and I don't know that I don't even know that the Slime Balls are going to lose. So I'm going to ask you, Jaden, who's going to win, Slime Balls or the Grail?
I'm thinking the Slime Balls are going to go over, and we're going to have Pretty Boy Smooth either turn on EC3 or maybe the vice versa.
And Mr. DK, who do you see going over?
They seem to be pushing the Grail, so I'm going to go with them.
I think I'm going to agree with Jaden on this one. I think the Slime Balls are going to win, and that's going to cause a rift between EC3 and Pretty Boy Smooth, which could perhaps navigate those waters to get EC3 back in the world title picture. Not that I necessarily need that. I just think that's where they're heading with it. So,
well, Billy does hate tag teams.
Well, and they've only been a tag team for a short time, but
doesn't matter. He hates them.
The next match, they're building it, the Mass versus Muscle. It's the National Heavyweight Championship match between Mike Mondo and Wrecking Ball Legursky. Again, we didn't even see Wrecking Ball Legursky on this round of Power. He didn't even have a single match. And I don't remember what he did at 77. I'm sure he had a decent match or a good match. I don't know.
Peter J. Bradley.
No, they did that at the Crockett Cup.
I don't remember what he did in a 77.
That's what I'm saying. I don't
No,
remember.
I think wasn't that the chain match?
Yeah, that was
the Crockett
Cup.
Oh, Crockett Cup was the chain match?
Yes.
Oh.
So
I don't know.
Mass versus Muscle. Who you got, DK? Pick one.
I'll go with Mondo for now.
So DK says Mondo retains. And then I'm going to ask you, Jaden, who do you see going over on this one?
Mondo.
Yeah, I think we're collectively in agreement here. We all agree that Mondo is going to get the win because, it's his first. I think it's his first big title defense. I mean, I know they did TV in Tampa after the Crockett or after the 77, but, I don't think there's a lot of guys bigger on the roster than the Wrecking Ball Legursky. So to say this is his biggest match is not an understatement. Next, we get the Territory Wars, Kenzie and Kylie Page versus the Country Gentlemen. It's a sibling rivalry, I guess, because you're having Joe Kazana's boys versus Tommy Henry's girls.
Wrecking Ball wasn't at 77.
There you go. Which is crazy because they were in New York and he's an East Coast guy. Go figure. I'm not a big
draw.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of intergender wrestling. I've said that before. When done right, I mean, when done right, it's okay.
When done right, that's like saying when Gabe Dahl has a good match. That doesn't happen.
Understood, but I guess it still remains. There's got to be a winner. There's got to be a loser. I think the fans are going to be the ones that lose, to be quite honest. I mean, I love Kylie and Kenzie Page. I think they're both very talented women. And I want to see them wrestle other women. And I want to see AJ Kazana wrestling for titles instead of carrying his brother into a tag team match with girls. Like I'm not trying to be sexist here, but I just have zero interest in this match whatsoever. I don't understand the whole territory war thing. It doesn't make sense to me. You're all representing the NWA. It's almost like, if you are a brother and you beat up your other brother, Dad should be mad at you. It shouldn't be, oh, well, let's see who's going to win. Who cares who wins? It's the family fighting the family. It's dumb. There's enough wrestling promotions out there that you have to compete against, not each other. So this, to me, just doesn't make sense. But I'll ask you, Jaden, who's going to win? The sisters or the brothers?
I'm going to say, and it's definitely my opinion and probably not the opinion of the Alliance Guys podcast, but promoters that promote women versus men matches are sexual deviants. So next.
I guess that's an abstaining vote. DK, your pick?
Well, I think everybody's going to lose. Probably because they're so good at this type of crap. They'll find some way to get a disqualification, double disqualification. So I'm going to say draw.
Okay. Well, I'm going to say the sisters are going to win because I just don't think that they're going to have the brothers beat up on two girls for 20 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
By the way, this is the type of thing that would make me not go to a mat, go to a card event, whatever you want to call it.
It's a show because the events don't have men versus women matches.
I would agree with that.
Let's move on. We've got the match that would have drawn all three of us to the event if it was in our backyard, and that's Trevor Murdoch versus Alexander Hammerstone. Murdoch, a former NWA national champion, former NWA two-time national champion, former NWA World Tag Team Champion, and a two-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion, taking on a former MLW Openweight Champion and a former MLW World Champion in Hammerstone. Now, this isn't like a promotion versus promotion war. This isn't MLW versus NWA. It's just the badassery that is Hammerstone versus the badassery that's Trevor Murdoch. Big, meaty men slapping meat. DK, who you got?
Well, I wanted this match since the two of them were national champions in their respective promotions. Ideally, Hammerstone wins to go on to challenge Thrillbilly because that's money if you do it right.
Yeah.
Billy doesn't do anything right, nor does it make sense. So it would not surprise me if Murdoch goes over. But I'm going to pick Hammerstone.
All right. And the same question to you, Jaden. Who is going to walk away the big man?
I think Hammerstone is great, but I don't think the match against Murdoch should happen because I think Murdoch should get a world title shot also against the next challenger, maybe a future challenger, Thrillbilly, especially now that Knox is out of wrestling for a while.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling that the midget's going to interfere and Hammerstone's going to win, and now the midget's going to manage Hammerstone.
So that's 2 for Hammerstone. Am I reading that correctly?
Yes.
Okay. And then I'm going to say Murdoch.
Why?
I'm going to say Murdoch because I don't think Hammerstone is long for the NWA. He's already made his debut back with MLW. He just had that match with Matt Riddle in MLW, and I feel like that's going to be his concentrated promotion where he's going to be spending time. So in the grand scheme of things, you have Trevor Murdoch who has something. He needs to do something while Mike Knox is healing. So what better way to do to put a big win over a big guy, and that you can slot him into a title match with Thrillbilly Silas Mason. I mean, essentially that's how Silas Mason got his title match, is by beating Hammerstone. And apparently Hammerstone has the magical pass. If you beat him, you get a world title shot. So
He's the good luck Chuck.
Yeah, there it is. So beating Hammerstone means you'll win the world title again, and we can have Trevor Murdoch a 3-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion. Right? With me on that one?
Yes.
All right. The next match that we have confirmation of is a World TV title match with Bryon Idol defending his television title against Rich Swann. And, the last time we saw Rich Swann, he had beat Alex Misery to get a shot at the junior heavyweight title, which we know he loses against Alex Taylor at the 77th anniversary show. So he tries his luck again to get a shot at this at Bryon Idol and the TV title. And I'm gonna call it right now. I'm gonna say Rich Swann is gonna win the title, new champion. And
DK?
That's what I think should happen, but I think Idol's going to retain.
Jaden?
I have a feeling we're going to see an Idol versus Thrillbilly title match somewhere. So I think Idol's going to win.
Okay. You see Idol going through 7 to get that title match, or you think it'll happen sooner because of their history?
I think it'll happen after he goes 7.
All right.
He's got to be getting close to something.
Well, it depends on which. Again, the NWA has never been very consistent with the way they handle that Lucky 7 series. Is it 7 matches on Power or 7 matches total? Because he's had several title defenses outside of Power, including Chicago and FTW, but they didn't recognize Carson Drake's victories outside of NWA. So, when I say NWA, I mean Power, outside of Power. So, that matchup next would probably be the World Junior Heavyweight title match between Alex Taylor, your current champion, against Slade. The first question is Aaron Stevens going to be managing Slade for this match, or is it going to be Rolando or no manager?
I think he managed Slade and Mondo at the 77th, so I say he does. And I'm going to go with new champion Slade, because he just lost the number 1 contenders match to Fenrir. That's obviously not happening. At the 77th, by the way.
Yeah. That's wild.
Well, it might have happened.
Well, yeah, it could have happened. at the TV tapings in Tampa, but I could not find the results for that show at all.
We need a spy in Tampa, and even you know what? Even the pictures we saw of that, we couldn't figure out what happened.
What's that?
Even with the pictures that we saw of that, we couldn't figure out what happened.
Yeah, it was very all over the place.
DK, did you pick your winner?
Slade.
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 Okay. So I think we're all in agreement again that we think that Slade is going to walk away as the new champion.
Woo woo.
All right. And I'm just keeping track of that, so sorry for the delay. Next up is the match that I don't think is going to happen. Actually, no, we'll jump around a little bit because I don't want to get to all the good title matches first. We also have the 6-man casket match. The Lost, which I believe is going to be Gags, Lev, and our friend of the show, Alex Misery, taking on Aaron Stevens, Carson Drake, and I don't know who the fuck Lockjaw is. I don't know who that is.
He was a Transformer.
So it's basically it's the Stevens family versus the Lost, and I want to know, Jaden, DK, I want to know who's gonna walk away the winner from the 6-man casket match.
Not anybody who watches it.
Yep.
Look,
Look, Alex Misery is gonna do some cool shit. You know that. He's gonna do some fun stuff. You're gonna be like, man, I wish that guy had a one-on-one match with somebody. But go ahead.
Yeah, basically. So
Or team up with Crazy Steve.
Go
for the U.S. tag team titles. I am going to go with Team Stevens only because they seem to be newer and, they might be trying to build them up. On the other hand, on the same hand, for whatever reason, the Miserably Faithful and the Lost and all that group tend to lose a lot. More than they should.
Fair enough. So DK says it's going to be the Stevens family. Jaden, who you got?
I think the Sawin miracle is going to happen, and the miserably job the Lost. That's it. They're going to come out as victorious.
Victories. Okay, cool. I agree. Look, you don't do a Halloween themed pay-per-view without letting your little freaks get their freak on. And I don't love the Lost, but I really enjoy Alex Misery. And not just because he was on the show. He was on the show because I really enjoy him. And I hope he gets more victories and looks amazing in this match so that they put him in something more meaningful for the next Signature Live event.
And I hope it's not Gags the Pimp. I hope it is they fly in Crazy Steve, because at least someone with a little star power, and the match will be a little bit more. And I hope Crazy Steve and Misery both land on Carson Drake and knock some Beta Alanine into him.
Okay, that brings us to coming hot off his return to the World Wrestling Entertainment Television. We have the complete Matt Cardona, who just appeared on NXT on the CW. And he'll be in a match against Daisy Kill. Now, Daisy Kill is a guy that we've all said really good things about in the past. So I have to ask the question, Jaden, is Daisy Kill going to finally step into the big boy show, or is he going to do the job for the WWE superstar, TNA superstar?
He also just recently lost to Baron Von Senior Citizen, and I think he's going to lose to Cardona, who, by the way, is apparently the same weight as President Trump and the same size. Same height and same weight as President Trump.
How do you even know that?
Because there was a whole video of people that are apparently the same weight as President Trump and around the same height, and it's like the guy who plays Dungeons and Dragons, who used to be married to Sofia Vergara, and it was Matt Cardona, and it was a bunch of other Hollywood people that are all in shape, and then there was Trump, and they're all apparently the same height and around the same height and same weight.
Interesting. Mr. DKM. You got Kill, you got Cardona.
I'm going to be optimistic and go with Kill.
With who?
Kill.
All right, so that's Jay and DK are rooting for good old Daisy on this one. Look, I feel like this. I don't know what's the deal with Talos. I know he's been wrestling in All Japan a lot. There seemed to be some dissension between the ranks at the Crockett Cup. I feel like maybe that might be a rivalry down the road, but I feel like if you're ever going to do something with Daisy, you got to do something sooner than later. And if a victory over Matt Cardona kind of propels him way up the chart, and I feel like that gives him some notoriety and makes him a bigger star. So if you put him in a match with Bryan Idol or Mondo down the road, I feel like he would be a very complete challenger if he beat the complete Matt Cardona. So for that reason, I want him to win. But who knows? The next match, so there is a World Tag Team title match. There's actually two of them. We've got Allison Kay and Marty Bell, the Hex, taking on TVMA. So you have the first tag team champions against the current tag team champions. And I'm excited about this match for a couple of reasons. One, TVMA is a very good tag team. In such a short time, they look really good. But they haven't been tested against a solid, legitimate women's tag team. And this is their opportunity to do so. You've got Marty Bell, who is working tonight in Gotham City Wrestling in New York. She'll be in Atlanta tomorrow to team with Allison Kay to take on Tiffany Nieves and Valentina Rossi with Miss Star in their corner. I'm hoping for the upset because I really do like the Hex and I would like them to be regulars on Power again. And I like to see that, good solid tag teams in the NWA. Plus, I have a sneaking suspicion that Valentina Rossi isn't going to be in the NWA for very long. I like her, but I just have this feeling that maybe she's on borrowed time already. So I'm going to I'm going to say the Hex is going to win. And now I'll send that to you, Jaden. Who do you think is going to win this match?
Right now, I think the TVMA is the second longest women's tag team champions. And that's just making fun of the fact that nobody really holds those belts very long.
That's true.
So I go with the Hex because I also have a feeling Valentina Rossi is not long for the NWA because she's got too much on her plate for other stuff. Yeah. And Billy's spiteful that way. And Nieves at least has a TV title and a bald doctor guy to sleep with.
Oh, my God.
Hey, yeah. real quick. I'm working on my doctorate in business there, Tiffany Nieves. Well, I'm not bald, though. I'm solar powered.
DK, your thoughts on this one?
Actually, I'm kind of tired of the current champions already.
Wow.
But the reality is, I'm like you guys. I'm not sure the one's here for much longer. But also, I would rather focus on Tiffany solo.
Yeah.
A singles career than her in a tag team. So, yeah, we'll see.
What do you pick?
So what's your pick?
Oh, Hex.
Okay, so that's two for the Hex. Okay,
but
maybe Wanda will help too.
Thinking for getting Tiffany back in the singles.
Okay, I mean,
it's Halloween. Maybe.
Go ahead, Jane.
It's Halloween. Maybe Wanda Maximoff will help with the Hex.
Maybe. Wouldn't it be great if never mind. I don't want to get canceled. Never mind. So there's another World Tag Team title match, and currently it is slated to be Blunt Force Trauma taking on the Immortals for the World Tag Team titles. However, card is subject to change, and the Good Brothers haven't been announced for a match yet. So, do we run out the Good Brothers, who are world-renowned tag team champions from the WWE, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA Wrestling? They've been in AEW. They literally are one of the more famous tag team acts in pro wrestling today. Or do we run out Blunt Force Trauma again? So the question is, who's gonna face the Immortals at Samhain Part 3? DK, who do you think? Is it gonna be BFT or is it gonna be the Good Brothers?
Probably the Good Brothers.
I think so too. Jaden, who do you think is going to be facing the Immortals for the tag titles?
Personally, I wanted it to be Marche Rocket and Big Dog Rodney Bernard, Rodney Mack. But I don't think they work for the NWA. So I would actually say it's going to be the Blunt Force Trauma, and then the Good Brothers are going to win a match, challenge them later, and build up for a future match.
I wouldn't hate that, to be quite honest with you. But who's available for them to wrestle? When we look at the tag team division as currently set up, Murdoch's is involved in another match, and Mike Knox is out. So there's no Murdoch's. There's no Taylor and Morton both have matches, so they're out. Country Gentlemen have a match, they're out.
Maybe they'll bring the slime balls back in for a second match.
Do you really think that, or are you just being silly?
Can the answer be both?
Sure.
Yes.
So then, DK, who do you think's gonna challenge for the World Tag Team titles?
No, I've said I think it's probably the Good Brothers. I think that'll be one of those cards subject to change, kind of the way the Immortals kind of got in for no apparent reason on the night of. It would not surprise me if it's the same thing. We don't really need to see Blunt Force Trauma and the Immortals again right now. And most importantly, if they pick up the victory, that's a bigger feather in the hat of the Immortals.
Or I guess the third option is make it a triple threat match.
No.
Okay.
Not what we support.
But I still think it's going to be, they're going to beat Blunt Force Trauma, because the first title defense, your first person to get the title shot is always doomed, almost always, unless it's for the NWA women's title. Nobody expects the first challenger to win the title, and that immediately disqualifies, it demeans and devalues the Good Brothers in that way. And so the Good Brothers are going to take on the Clones instead.
Oh, that'd be pretty cool. All right. Okay.
The clones.
Send in the clones. Sorry. I think
Attack of the Clones.
I think it's going to be the Good Brothers. I feel like that's the best way. That's the best route to go here, because they're going to be on the card. Card is always subject to change. We saw it last pay-per-view or Signature Live event where they changed the Holy Grail to the Immortals, and I don't know that you really need to take the belts off the Immortals right now, but if it were up to me, I would put the belts on the Good Brothers. I think they are an act that is not being used currently by any major promotion. So if you were the NWA, you could really benefit from working with these guys. And on top of that, I'm going to see the Good Brothers in Tijuana on November the 7th, and I'd love to see them with the tag titles. I got to see Mecha Wolf and Bestia with the tag titles in Tijuana, so I would love to see the Good Brothers holding those NWA World Tag Team titles. Plus, it'd be cool to see Carl the Machine Gun Anderson holding the tag team title for a second time as NWA World Tag Team Champion. Did they win those? The thought occurred to me. Did they win the tag titles in New Japan when Rob Conway and Jack Stain defended the titles in Japan?
Did they win them, or were they? What's the question you're asking?
I know they challenged for the titles, but did they win the tag titles while in Japan?
No.
The Good Brothers, no.
Okay. Yep, you're right. I'm looking right now. Okay. Never mind. Still, it would be cool to see the guy that has been a former British Commonwealth champion and a former NWA Heartland States champion regain the tag titles from yesteryear. I think it'd be kind of cool. So I'm going to say the Good Brothers win the tag titles, and I'm going to say the Good Brothers will be facing the Immortals. Jaden, who do you see walking away as the tag champions after Saw Win Part 3?
I think the Immortals are going to beat Blunt Force Trauma.
Okay.
And I don't want to see the Good Brothers as tag team champions, because one half of them is good and Carl Anderson. But right now, the Drew with Doc, whatever his Gallows now they call him. He's doing hardcore matches with barbed wire and stuff. Let him stay with that stuff and keep him as far away from the NWA as possible. Maybe bring Carl Anderson as singles.
I don't hate that either, but so DK, then who do you like?
I think the Immortals will beat the Good Brothers.
Welcome to Good Brothers, home of the Good Brothers. Can I take y'all to...
Sure can. I want a Big Mac. No, actually, I'm on a diet. I'm not eating any of that shit. Okay, that brings us to the main event of the. Oh wait, no, I forgot. There's another match, because the world titles are on the line when the world's heavyweight champion and the world's women's champion defend. We've got Natalia Markova taking on the recently released Shottzi Blackheart. It'll be her NWA debut. I think a great opponent for Markova, has a lot of name recognition, a lot of value, and a good victory for Markova here kind of sets up her reign as women's world champion. And she's not Natty Neihart, but I feel like this is a pretty big get for NWA when it comes to Shottzi Blackheart. So I'm going to say Markova for the victory here. And I want to know, Jaden, who do you see going over on this match?
Markova for the victory. Again, you usually don't have your first challenger win a belt right off the bat, and that's usually a lame duck challenger anyway. So I think that's also why maybe that's not drawing, because nobody expects Shottzi to win. And Shotzi's definitely not Natty, because if not, maybe if she was Natty, maybe they would actually sell out this building.
Yeah. So we've got 2 votes for Markova. DK, are you going to make it 3?
Yeah, Markova.
And look, I think it's going to be a phenomenal match. You know, we've seen Markova have really good matches with Kylie. She's had good matches with Kenzie. She had a really good match with Tiffany Nieves. Who?
Camille.
Yeah, Camille. Great match.
Camille. That was a match that actually made me a fan of Markova, even though she does that stupid blood match garbage. That if every time she does that, I think Billy should fine her $5,000.
He probably enjoys it.
Yeah, he's a weird kink like that. That's why he books women versus men match. Sexual predators.
These are the views expressed by one Jaden and not necessarily
Deviant. Let me change that. Deviant.
Thank you. All right, so now we have.
He's not a Rob Feinstein.
So now we have the main event. It is a return bout from the 77th anniversary show. Thom Latimer now in the challenger seat, challenging Thrillbilly Silas Mason for the 10 pounds of gold. I want to know, DK, who do you see walking out with the 10 pounds of gold? Is it going to be Thom Latimer becoming a 2-time champion, or will Thrillbilly Silas Mason have an epic first title defense?
Let's put it this way. There might be violence in the streets if Thrillbilly never has a chance to be world champion and give real promos as a world champion without us knowing he's about to lose the title. So he damn well better be Thrillbilly, and he better retain, and they better not F this up.
So now the question goes to you, Jaden. Do you believe in the Thrillbilly, or do you think Thom regains the 10 pounds of gold?
Keep your daddy in the house and keep your mama in the kitchen, because if Thrillbilly ain't winning, I'm going to be doing a whole lot of bitching.
That was good. I agree. I think that the Alliance guys, we didn't agree on everything for this signature live event, but we can all agree that Thom Latimer, although a very great world champion, I feel like he had a very successful run as champion. But I'm not ready to see Silas Mason lose this belt yet. I need to see the NWA push that man, push the Thrillbilly to the moon. So yeah, we're all in agreement on that one.
Hey, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
You just did.
Where's Pope?
Apparently he wasn't invited to be at this event. Yeah, look, and furthermore, where is Mims?
We still got like 11 more matches, you know. They haven't announced yet.
There will be more matches, and again, this is just the card. This is just the matches that we're aware of. There might be a Pope. There might not be a Pope. There might be a Mims. There might not be a Mims. You just never really know until it's announced. And even, if history has taught us anything, even if it's announced, it might not happen. So, I mean, look, for all we know, it could be the Good Brothers versus Pope and Mims. I mean, anything could happen in Billy's booking. So, real quick, I kind of ignored the chat, and that wasn't done with intent, so I want to get to their chats real quick. Willie Bowen was also rooting for Hammerstone with you guys. Then Luther says, the dirt sheets and pirates don't waste their time with Billy's nonsense. Noob says, Markova winning, but do you see Natalia in cosplay at Swann Part 3 because it's spooky season? Yeah, look, if Natalia has a reason to dress up in something, I'm sure she will. Noob also says Markova is the boss's favorite, which Luthez says, ever seen Indecent Proposal? Well, there you go.
Maybe he's talking about with me and Nieves. I don't know. When did that come out?
It's getting pretty indecent over here, as far as I know. Hey,
I hope Markova cosplays as Stifler's mother.
Oh my gosh. You know what I was watching today in the gym? It was I didn't pick it. It was just on the TV. It was the
Two Broke Girls.
No, I would have loved to watch that. It was the movie with Charlie Sheen, and it was like a Top Gun parody, but it was the second one.
Yes, I know which one you're talking about. I can't think what it's called either.
Like they did, and the operative that was working with Charlie Sheen in the movie, she was supposed to be based like off of Kim Basinger from Basic Instinct, and I'm like, you know what? I would be okay with Natalia Markova doing the Kim Basinger thing. I think that would be fun.
She was a redhead. I told her to do Jessica Rabbit.
She could pull that off, I'm sure. All right, Noob.
So
We're talking about your girl, Noob. Where you at, Noob? We're talking about.
I'm sure a lot of people would like to pull that off.
Oh my God. I don't even know what to say about that. Our friends over at Gotham Wrestling are having their event tonight. I'm excited to see what happens there. We know the 5150 Danny Limelight, Slice Boogie, they're defending the tag titles. We know that Jay Lethal's on the card. It's a very mixed up, fun card. Carl Fredericks is making his wrestling return since leaving NXT. I can't wait to see the results. Make sure you're staying tuned to Gotham Wrestling to find out more of what's happening there. Our very own Rick Del Santo was supposed to be in the house.
Hot Shots.
What's that?
Hot Shots.
Hot Shots. There it is. Hot Shots
Part 2.
And but Rick got sick, so he wasn't able to make it. And then Noob says Markova might cosplay as Black Cat from Marvel. I'm good with that. She could be Black Widow. She could be any Marvel character. I'd be okay with that.
Pam Anderson.
Pam Anderson.
Have her come out in the Baywatch outfit.
Have her come out in barbed wire.
Why would she cover up that much?
That's a good point. All right, guys, before it gets any more pervy here, we're going to wrap it up. Of course, I want to give you the floor, Jaden. Is there something you would like to promote that's coming up with Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators?
We're going to have a table at the South Jersey Geek Fest at the 4-H Fair grounds in New Jersey. So we're going to have a table there. You're going to see Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators heavyweight champion Vinny the Fixer and Silver Lobo will be part of the table, and the debut of the new dog tablecloth.
Did you get that on TikTok Shop?
No. I got a high quality one.
Hey now.
I used Dr. Zacconi's credit card, and also got some Dubby.
Nice.
I didn't really. I have to get some Dubby though. I'm tired as hell, and I need it.
Make sure you use that code, the Alliance blog.
Yeah, and just don't use the code. Don't use the link. Apparently, you got to use the code too.
Yeah. And then Luthez said barbed wire. Was that the name of the character? Barbed wire. That's funny because I don't remember. Okay.
I think Markova needs to stay away from barbed wire. That's one of the things I was making fun of earlier.
Is there anything new to report with IHWE, Mr. DKM?
Not today.
Not today. All right. Well, then I'll just say this. We appreciate you guys making us a part of your Thursday night viewing habits. Of course, we are the Alliance Guys. We're here every Thursday to talk to you about the NWA and pro wrestling in general. We hope you'll join us next week as we will probably be recapping what happened at Samhain, as well as talking about the matches that occurred at NWA 77 as presented on Powered by Roku, and we will talk more about all of this next week. But until then, we will see you at the matches. Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at The Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are The Alliance.